Yeah.
That was, I had a good laugh about that.
It's not a bajillion degrees in here like it is.
Yeah.
So what did you go
Oh
with?
my god.
Well, see, I don't take work off work generally.
Yeah, Juxta came in like as I was like sitting down in my chair to log out
Yeah.
or to go AFK. Juxta comes down invisible in a ghost costume and starts moving books around and putting like changing like where everything's laid out. And we're like,
Oh, that's fun.
like, is Juxta haunting the show today?
He's the Ghostbuster ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Not bad for a skeleton crew. I thought we had 2 good shows today.
Yep, definitely. I was kind of worried about the anime discussion. Not really, just because I knew that Nika had so much to say about it.
Sure.
And that I was on the other side of it enough as a detractor of anime that we might be able to have a good conversation about it. I don't know, how do you feel it went? Like,
I thought it went good. My only worry when it came to doing that topic was like we had to get it off the ground. I was a little worried with how we would get it going. But I knew like it's kind of like any subject that we do. Once we get talking about it, we're generally fine.
yeah.
And I think we see that a lot on LBR, where we'll have a topic where we're just like we're not certain about it at the beginning, but then like we'll get into like actually talking about it, and once it's going, it's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you've seen it. We'll take a subject on LBR that has no business being a topic, and we'll drag that out for an hour, like
By accident.
by accident, completely by accident.
Just by yeah. So yeah, no, I thought we had 2 very good shows today.
Definitely.
Actually read some emails, which is good.
Yeah, when was the last time we really caught him? We took so many calls on LBR.
Yeah, we did.
Like, I don't know if Juxta doesn't, like, I just, I just lined them up, and as soon as one was done, I had the next one in the queue ready to go. Like,
Yep, that's what
that
I
was
want.
my approach.
That's what I want done.
Okay. Yeah, I think, like, we have a couple people who maybe waited on hold for, like, 10 minutes before we started talking to them, but,
That's
like,
normal. When you're
yeah,
calling a radio show,
I've called into 97.1 before, like, that's what you do.
I've sat
You
on
wait.
hold. Yeah, I've sat on hold for 15 minutes. It's not
Lonnie and
unreasonable.
Foster have people, like, listening for, like, 45 minutes on hold waiting to call in.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I get it's because their show is, like, their biggest show, but...
Right.
Yeah, like, that happens.
So what do you think of the idea or the prospect of creating a new show that would be specifically a radio show instead of like an LBR produced podcast?
Well, I was saying, is this talking about something where we would go to a station to do it, or something we would make here?
No, I think we would go to the station to do it. At least that's what I would want.
Yeah, that
Just
would be
to have
ideal.
a different vibe and feel to it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Because then also, doing it live in the station, you have the ability to interact with callers far more than just saying, hey, like if it's happening live on the air, it's really weird for someone to hear a call-in show that's pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to make it clear, like, look, this is pre-recorded. You can't call in live right now. It's easier just to do the show live, take the calls, and then distribute it on the back end as a podcast.
Well, because I mean, so much of the value is people hear something that they want to comment on and they want to call in and they want to go out and do that. And if you can't, it loses a lot of the charm.
Yeah. So initially this sort of had started as an idea of taking Final Encountercast and doing it on a radio station, and it sort of has now morphed into the idea of taking what we do as a production company and doing it for the radio.
Right.
And I think that the idea is there. Like it's time for something like this to happen. Radio is enormously stale right now, and my gamble here is that, and this is the part that I don't know. This is this is like sort of the rub. I think that gamers, if they hear if it doesn't matter what the radio station is. You tell gamers, we've got a talk show where we talk about video games and video game development, they will show. It's sort of like if you build it, they will come.
And I think
nobody else is doing it on the radio.
Right. Well, I think gaming permeates enough now that even if you sure, people we tell will come, But like there'll just be people who are listening and they'll hear, oh, this station has a gaming show too. Now that's cool. I play video games. Let me check that out.
And it's not like, right now we're pitching it to a sports station, so it's not like there isn't any overlap in those audiences either.
Right. We have the esports thing too, which gives us kind of that natural segue.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I think it's a good idea. What I like about it is that I feel like we have a proof of concept between Limit Break Radio, Final Encounter Cast, and Refresh. All three of those shows are immensely different, but they follow the same format. They follow the LBR format that we have. And so we've kind of shown that, like, you know what, we might swap out a host member or something like that, but our concept for how to run the show works.
Yeah.
We could swap the topic.
Yeah.
So I feel like taking that around to different radio stations and saying, like, here's the type of show we want to run. What exactly we cover is up for argument.
Let's cater it to what your station needs.
Right, exactly.
Here's
you can't tell me that you don't have friends from back when you worked at Flipside, maybe, I don't know, who, like, if you got onto, like, the classic rock station, you couldn't do this version of the show with them about a classic rock thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's, the style of show that I make is very influenced by a lot of other radio shows, and so the format that usually comes out when I sit down and talk or think about a show, it's sort of there's a flow, there's a structure that it follows, and it is all very much rooted in traditional media. Whereas, you have people now who make, who are making podcasts and stuff like that, or are streamers that don't come from that very strong broadcasting background. So, when I say things like I don't think of myself as inherently a Twitch streamer, I think of myself as a broadcaster first before a Twitch streamer.
Right.
That's the sort of thing that I mean, where when I think about my product, I think about the 3-hour structured show that we do every week, as opposed to my gaming channel overall. And because of that, and it is more of a rigid structure, but because of that rigid structure, I think that gives us a place in traditional media where we can hold a space. Because you've got, first of all, again, you've got a vacuum in the market. There is no one, and I mean no one, in major markets or in commercial media that are talking about video games with any kind of import. And as we have demonstrated, you can make the subject as serious or lighthearted as you want. It's no different from sports.
Yeah, think of how different, like, our show today about the Animus was from the show a few weeks ago, dealing with offensive language.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't get how this show isn't already there. Every time I talk to someone who does anything radio, they're always saying, well, we can't get young people to tune in and listen.
Right.
Because you're not talking about what they care about.
You're not meeting them on their level. Young people do want to talk about things in a serious way. And that's the problem, is that every time you see video games brought up, and we saw a great example of it on today's Final Encounter Cast, where we had that story about that kid bringing the Super Smash Brothers game to prom. That is an example of a story that you see perpetuated in major media again and again and again, and it goes, ha ha, look how dumb your community, look how dumb your hobby is.
And it turns people off.
It does. It totally does.
Yeah.
It turns people off who are fans or who might see that and not automatically go, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
That's like, it wouldn't matter how entertaining our show was. If we came on the air every day and said video games are stupid, who would listen to that?
No one would listen to it. But that's the approach that major media has had when it comes to talking about video games. And I think if you adjust the way that you interact with pop culture, that's going to be the first thing that's going to turn the tides. Dude, kids and hipsters, they love dying and dead media. You mean to tell me that if you didn't offer something on radio that they wouldn't latch onto it? They're buying fucking vinyl!
Yeah, exactly. Great example. I was listening to 97.1 the other day, and one of their shows was like their late... It might have been when I was leaving here last week, actually. Their show, a caller called in and mentioned that, he was a sports fan, and they were talking about I think they were talking about NHL at the time, but he mentioned that he was big in the esports scene, and they dragged it through the mud. They like didn't treat it like did no seriousness with it, and I'm saying like if I'm a 16-year-old who's into competitive StarCraft, I'm saying fuck you guys.
Yep. Not only that, but and I think that also is a way in to introducing the show, especially on a lineup of pure sports. Okay, because esports coming in, that's an invading aspect. One of the shows that is produced on the radio station that I work for, they did the same thing where they offhandedly started talking about ESPN Network covering esports in a meaningful way. They took 90 solid minutes of calls on this one topic afterwards.
Oh yeah.
That has never happened, ever. There's not one topic that will light up the phones like that lit the phones. And I'm telling you that they didn't just have the phones lit, they had them lit all 6 lines for the entirety of the 90 minutes. And by the time they wrapped up, they had to dump people off the phone again and again. Sorry, we're done with the topic. We spent 90 minutes on this. Sorry, we're done. And they had to keep clearing people out that wanted to talk about it.
Like I said, I don't get how this show isn't already there. How can I get it. It's the broadcast industry, and there is definitely an element of closed-mindedness there. But you want to be. How does some station, maybe a smaller station in the market, now said, we'll be the ones to take that chance. What could it hurt us?
I think that there are some smaller stations, maybe even college stations, that'll put stuff like this on the air. Nothing in a major market, nothing in terms of a commercial station, nothing that gets a promotional push. And get this, here's the most simple way that you can promote the show and it will pay off. I guarantee you. You go to mark 3 big cons throughout the year. You give 3 promotional pushes like you would push at a concert. Right? Like you give that show the same promotional push just 3 times out of the year. And you give it the same promotional push that you would give your morning show at a concert that is really, that this is the audience you're catering to. Tell them that you're there.
Yeah.
And people will come. I guarantee it.
All the time it happens. It doesn't even have to be that. Find a B-dubs that's showing the StarCraft tournament and partner with them on it.
Yep.
Do it.
Get Red Bull, who's trying to sell tickets to their esports event in town, and have them promo the event. You can sell around this. Have a shop like the one that you work at. Advertise around this. What's the biggest problem when it comes to promoting hobby shops, video game shops, and mom and pop shops overall? It's hitting your target demographic. You want to make sure that the money that you're spending is hitting the people who want to hear your fucking ad. And if you can go, hey, I've got 2 hours that I sit around and I talk on a major market about video games, you're going to have people lining up to buy ad time.
You want to see proof positive that this sells? My brother and I are talking about road tripping to Chicago this fall for a viewing party for the League of Legends Worlds this year. Because that's the closest viewing party that anyone's advertising, is Chicago. We're talking about road tripping to Chicago to do this.
Like, where would you be watching it at?
Staples Center? Not Staples Center, that's Los Angeles.
But a convention center out there.
Where they would show, where the WWE events are always when they're there. Right in suburban Chicago. Progressive Arena, something like that.
It just makes me wonder, is there, what if we started doing, esports gatherings at a local bar?
How cool would that be?
If we started sponsoring, hey, come hang out with Final Encountercast, we're going to watch the StarCraft finals.
Yeah, how cool would that be?
I think that would be really cool. We should start doing, and I think that should be part of the pitch to the station, too.
Is that we'd be willing to kind of orchestrate that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you. It's great to be able to sit in your basement at 3 in the morning and watch a StarCraft tournament. It's awesome. But if there was some I'm a little more outgoing than your standard nerd, but if I have a chance to go watch the UFC fight at B-Dubs with some of my friends, I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
It's a fun time to go out and enjoy some food and just watch up on TV with a big crowd around you. if you could do the same thing, like if they had that for League of Legends and you could go check that out, that'd be awesome.
And here's the narrative to work the show in with a sports radio station. Have me or someone from the show go on and fucking argue it out with every host. And really like dig down, like, no, this is why it's valid for ESPN to be covering this kind of content. You're missing out on a huge audience segment. You're just watching marketing opportunities and advertising opportunities walk out the door.
I'm getting something.
Oh. So it's just us now. Could do something weird. I don't really know what to do though. Just start beating on. I got an idea. We're gonna take a little trip